Hey guys, welcome to the StarCraft 2 North American Top Dog Season 1 Week 6. My name is BlazeMost and my counterpart here is Slicer. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing pretty well today, BlazeMost. We're going to be casting Team2Pro and SagaCity for our matches this week. And I know we've casted Team2Pro quite a few times, but let's see if we can't bring something different to the table today.
And for those of you that are just joining us this first time, this is a best of 8 week series. We have several teams here. I think it was around 12 or 14 or so that are currently playing games. We are fortunate enough to actually cast these games that are going on right now. And there's a couple of players we're going to cast today. And these players are accumulating points for their clan. So if you want to participate and have your own clan, even participate in our matches, sign up at thunderdogesports.com. All you need is 5 members for your clan.
Yep, easy as that. Our Season 2 for Top Dog is currently under talks right now, too. So be sure to keep an eye out for our next Top Dog League. It should be coming by the beginning of next year.
So that means, you get enough time to actually, spend your time with your family, go over for the holidays. You don't have to, rush over. Contrary to college classes where I'm still forced to do class, but that's another story. We have our first 2 players in the lobby right now with tons of spectators for Team2Pro versus Saga. The first 2 players are going to be Sanctuary and Fantasy. I think Sanctuary is a Protoss player, if I remember right.
I believe so too. We casted Team2Pro last week. Do you remember if Sanctuary played?
No, I've just seen him on the ladder a lot, so that's how I was able to pull that information out of my head.
I see.
So it may look like it's going to be a PvP for our first match, but as of right now, they're just confirming the races just in case I am possibly wrong, which I am not in this case.
Protoss versus Protoss. So heavy gateway pressure or DTs?
Well, if it were me, I would probably just proxy my Stargate and build an Oracle and hope that works. That way I have enough practice for the Oracle usage that will eventually get buffed, which I've been seeing a lot more use of in all the matchups.
Yeah, with the Oracle, with its gas being turned down with one of the last patches, it's definitely a little bit more viable and cost-effective to get that Oracle out. So we could see Proxy Stargate.
Yeah, and it's just really good. Revelation is actually something that allows you to detect creep tumors. It allows you to keep tabs on the army. A lot of players have been using that a lot more frequently instead of monitoring with an observer or using hallucinations. So I feel like it's gonna have a really good tool in terms of the course of the game. So if you actually keep it alive, hopefully it's something that we'll eventually see implemented within the metagame over the course of the next few months.
Yes, indeed. Looks like there's just a little banter between the players in chat. Are they ready to go, or...? Okay.
So our first map is going to be Whirlwind LE. We go through a series of maps, and each clan will veto a map. So that way, you look through the ladder pool, you see something you're not really work with, you just veto it out. It doesn't really necessarily mean you have any sort of advantage. All the players are all on a roster, so there's 10 players that we're going to see play tonight, and the team captain, so to speak, has the main choice on which maps they're going to disable so that way, it comes up a little bit of a strategy on what players to send out within what time.
All right. Do we know if they vetoed any maps?
Well, we know one map that's not vetoed for sure. It's going to be Whirlwind that we're currently on right now. Actually, I noticed that the map pool is a little odd. I'm going to go over it right now. It's going to be Yonsu, OGN, Guangali Beach, Fruitland, Achillean Wastes, Belcher Vistage, and Neoplanet S.
Yeah, so definitely a little bit different from the one-on-one ladder that we had last week. It felt like it was time to throw in a couple, one or two GSTL maps, which Fruitland was the one I pulled off GSTL, I think.
Yeah, Fruitland just got recently added to the NA servers, if I recall correctly. It was originally as Slicer pointed out, a GSTL map that players were playing on. There is lots of fruits and vegetables on the map. I know everybody here takes their daily fruits and vegetables. I'm pretty sure everybody follows that regiment. So if not, you're going to get it through this game that we are eventually going to play. Hopefully the players didn't decide to veto this map because it's very important to our daily nutrition.
Oh, yes, we can't get any of that scurvy.
Flying and we're pirates.
Well, I mean, it's always that, but
so we're currently working our way to getting this game going. The players have confirmed their spots. Everybody's good to go. So the countdown shall now be starting.
And it's almost time for your favorite part of the day. And Blismos, here we are at your favorite part of the whole night, watching blue bars.
Yeah, but we're currently in the loading screen of this PvP, and it's going to be on Whirlwind LE. So this is going to be a 4-player map, and we're going to see whether or not these players decide to scout or if they do not decide to scout. And their colors are going to be yellow and red. And I noticed Fantasy doesn't even have it ranked. Maybe he plays on the European server.
Perhaps. But go ahead with the intro.
All right. So on the top left corner of the map, we have our Protoss player from X-Saga. His name is Sanctuary. And on the top right corner of the map, we have our Protoss player that is red. His name is Fantasy.
Now, I'm really hoping that both these players scout. It is a mirror matchup, and while there's a very large amount of things you can do, scouting is just way too important. Being able to see that early gas from both the players gives you a little hint on whether they're going to attack or put on early pressure, or even try to get that early expansion with a few gateways.
Yeah, there's several things that both these players could do to take advantage of the early game, whether it's they decide to get some tech out to try to catch a build off guard, open robo so that way they can get their observer out early so they can figure out everything that's going on and safeguard themselves from DTs, or they can also do something extremely unorthodox because they've been practicing the same build on ladder and now they're here to present it to us.
Well, we'll see if we get one of those completely polished builds out here. But for now, it looks like both players going for standard gateway. And nothing really too interesting here. Both spawn on top side of the map. We'll see if Sanctuary is sending out his first scout, see if he's going to guess right. And, well, it doesn't really look like it.
Nope, he's going to spend a very long time traveling the Great Grand Canyon of Whirlwind, as Fantasy takes both of his gases, and both players doing something extremely similar. Both players are taking their gases. I feel like they're both going to go into tech-oriented builds.
Yeah, double gas definitely means tech. We could see Blink Stalkers. Blink Stalkers are still quite powerful. We might see that Proxy Stargate again, of course. And, well, there's always the standard robo play.
Mm-hmm. And with this, both players, start to deviate from what they normally do. Sanctuary putting 2 probes on both of his gases, and most of the other parts of the build order are pretty much consistent in this case, as either side, is working on building their gas count or, trying to get extra minerals with a couple probes that they have.
Fantasy having all that extra gas earlier, we could see DTs or something very gas heavy out of Fantasy. Maybe even heavy Void Rays if, well, there's a Stargate being thrown down.
If
but
he goes Stargates.
yeah, if he goes Stargate. Cybercore's not even finished yet. It looks like Fantasy's asking for a pause. His mouse died. That's not good.
Yeah, if you have those battery-based mouses, or mice, excuse me, not considering that you would actually have two mice. Anyways, the battery eventually will go out, and you'll have to replace it. So it's a pretty good example of a normal person who's using a mouse.
Oh, this is why I stick to wired mice, just because it's just such a hassle.
Yeah, I use a USB mouse, and they are confirming that everything is good to go. So here comes the countdown, 3, 2, 1, and they are back into the game.
Yep, it looks like both players. Ooh, a little deviation from Fantasy here, getting out a mothership core with Sentry at the same time. Those extra probes on gas, definitely getting that out for him.
I feel like Sanctuary is going to be the one that, he's just, twitching around a little bit. And he's twitching not enough to put a Stargate down.
I guess if probes twitch fast enough, they choose to throw down the Stargate.
It's specificity of doing your build where it's like, I need to make sure, it goes down at a certain time, and then I got to put it back on the minerals. But I think he may either commit to doing, I don't know, Phoenix is kind of rare, don't you think?
I don't think it's going to be a Phoenix build. Phoenix are too easily countered generally by Archons. Like, if you go DTs, you can just switch right out of it, but Fantasy's not actually building any tech, he's trying to expand.
Yeah, he's got quite a investment going on at trying to cut a lot of shortcuts early on, keeping all of his probes and on gas.
Oh.
And Phoenix is being built.
Now, Phoenix can definitely be really, really annoying early on, but this might actually turn into Fantasy's favor if Sanctuary stays on Phoenix for too long. Because once any amount of defenses come up, or just a large amount of stalkers with Blinker there, then those Phoenix just end up kind of being useless after that.
Yeah, I don't think he sees any of this, so it'd be very surprising if he just shows the Phoenix out front. I think it's just being used to scout. But I mean, he's just showing it right now. I don't understand.
It's entirely for a scout right now. He's seeing that Fantasy has expanded, so he's expanding behind it. But he should see it come up as long as he keeps that Phoenix alive.
And it is being used as a rally point right now. A lot of players do this even with their Terran units. They'll rally it to one unit. I've seen people rally stuff to their Reapers. So it looks like he's going to try to do some sort of pressure. Fantasy's going to need a lot of Stalkers to be able to protect against this. Otherwise, he's going to lose a lot of probes.
Looks like Fantasy's throwing down a forge. We might see some cannons just to try and defend against these Phoenix. But it's not going to be down for a long, long time. He's going to need Stalkers.
That's a lot of damage probes take. They get literally two-shotted, but at the same time, the first sentry gets pulled off, so all that gas that was actually invested early on is now be able to catch up in terms of Sanctuary falling a little bit behind at the start of it by putting 4 probes on gas.
He also made Fantasy blow his Photon Overcharge for his Nexus. That means if there's going to be a frontal attack at this expansion, Fantasy's not going to have that Nexus cannon to help defend.
Nope, and if Sanctuary knows how to time it right and was paying attention, he should be able to go back in there at a certain point, and he's just rotating back and forth right now between both of the bases, just trying to find openings while making probes behind this, so that way he's able to get some sort of advantage throughout the course of the game. The longer he keeps these Phoenix alive, the better. I mean, obviously he doesn't want them at 200 supply, but he's building up that probe count that he's killing right now.
Yes, but only 5 probes, well, 6 now, have gone down. So there's still a lot of money invested in these Phoenix, and I mean, once you get to a certain point, they kind of start to lose their value. But hey, we have seen mass Phoenix just completely cripple people before. Let's see if Sanctuary can accomplish that.
But as of right now, Fantasy is putting up quite the resilient defense with a couple of cannons being placed and also getting +1. Nothing coming out of his robo yet. I think he's still trying to confirm what's going on and trying to defend against this attack. His observer is going half across the map right now, so he can verify whether or not it's going to be pressure. As the looks of things, Sanctuary is about to do pressure with his Zealot Sentry Assault Force.
It looked like another Nexus cannon went on the main. So there's just that one last one to go down on natural when this push happens, because there's 4 more gateways coming down for Sanctuary. So we're going to see some pressure here.
Yep, and part of the goal of those Phoenix was to force those overcharges on the main, so now they can't be used on the natural, so it makes the natural's attack or defense a lot less.
Some of Fantasy's probes aren't mining in his main. Uh-oh. But with all these cannons being thrown down, this is actually going to hurt Fantasy. Like, there's actually enough Phoenix to lift up almost his entire army right now.
Yep, and since he did build an Immortal, it's not going to actually benefit him in this case because of the fact that this is a mainly Zealot Sentry composition, so the force fields will be the main priority here. Here comes the attack. The Phoenixes are going to be patient and wait until Fantasy's composition is out of the way. Time Warp goes down to slow down, but that is a Time Warp from Sanctuary. Here comes the lifts, lifting up those units, but is that really going to be effective enough?
Sanctuary should have been focusing down that sentry the whole time. It's the only thing that can save Fantasy right now. And it did finally die, but without any force fields to block off the Zealots from being very, very annoying to the Stalkers.
Yeah, and the Phoenix are still lifting, even though there's several cannons attacking. There's a lot of Zealots attacking the Nat right now, and there's a few more being warped in, and there's just pylons everywhere. This is just, full-on pressure by Sanctuary, and I'm not sure if Fantasy's going to have a response for the Zealot mass.
No, all these cannons are definitely hurting Fantasy right now. His production just isn't there. He does have the money to warp stuff in, but he's losing a lot of probes at his natural, and I just don't see him coming back after this attack.
Yeah, it's very odd, just start making Immortals and think that, he's going to be a Stalker-based composition when he had 5 Phoenix. So it was probably something he was not expecting. So all of his gas was committed into Phoenix to, lift things, and then he had enough Zealots, enough money, because he built up, that probe count that he was able to actually do this pressure.
Oh, we know Fantasy doesn't lift now, so looks like Sanctuary's got him beat on that aspect. But it looks like Sanctuary is just going to take this first game, and there's the GG.
Saga takes the first series of 5.
I've seen Phoenix build be tested a lot in early Heart of the Swarm. It can be very, very devastating if you manage to catch your opponent off guard, or if they go robo, like we just saw here. Mm-hmm. And it's just too hard to defend against. If you put defenses up, then you got to deal with a bust at your front door. So, I mean, it's just the worst possible situation when you have that robo coming up like that.
Yeah, I thought he was going to go into mass Stalkers, and I think he could have split up 2 groups of Stalkers and then just defended from both sides. But I mean, after I saw the Immortal, I was kind of like, I don't think this is going to be really any benefit at all. I mean, Immortals are nice units, but I think the way Sanctuary's build is designed was to, make an assumption that their opponent was playing for the mid to late game instead of the early game.
It definitely worked out for him. Fantasy was aiming for a late game composition.
Mm-hmm. So we're going to go into the second games of the series with Saga versus Team2Pro. For those of you that would like to know more about us as a group of individuals, we can check our website out at thunderdogesports.com. We also have our social media links listed. I think it's above in this case. We have our YouTube and Twitter. You can follow us there.
Yep. And keep posted for, we have a League of Legends registration actually open for any league ranked team, and there are prizes for it too. So go look at that. It has a new section in our Top Dog on our forums. If you have a team and are looking to try and win some RP and a Rise skin as well, go sign up.
Yeah, those are stuff that is really expensive. Personally, I don't have the money to buy stuff like that, so that's really good prizes to work for. It's just something, an incentive to playing the game itself that's worth trying to contribute to here. Is to build up, any sort of game, not necessarily just, one. We have several games we're working on, and, we'll see more of this with other clans, other groups of people, and, anybody here can contribute to those if they would like to.
Yeah, the league does start November 11th, every Monday at 9 Eastern. and it's open to all leagues. I mean, the deadline for the registration is going to be Sunday, November 10th. So go grab 4 your best and go sign up.
It seems like Yunsu is the next map. I'm going to say there's a probability that some of the later maps got taken out, but Yunsu is known for both, island maps on the bottom right corner of the map and the top left corner of the map. I haven't seen anybody float any CCs over there yet, though.
Not quite.
And we are just waiting for the players to join the lobby currently. This is game number 2 of a 8-week series. We're currently on week number 6. Players are basically, getting their last few points in. And for the point system, it's basically, you get 5 point or a point for every win. And if you win the series, whether it's 2-3 or 3-2 or 5-0, those are examples too. They get an extra point for winning the entire thing, and the points are basically a compared total of how much you working for, similar to I think it was Pro League that's being used right now. And eventually we start implementing the top dog. Eventually points that show the prizes that you'll win based on the positioning of how many points you have.
Okay, we're just getting set up right now. Looks like our next 2 players for Team2Pro is going to be, I think his name's Legacy, but he's their barcode. Or unless it's the barcode.
Is it a barcode from the GM letter?
I'm not sure yet. He's not in the game yet.
Okay.
Unless his name is literally DA barcode. That would be pretty funny too.
There's tons of barcodes out there. I'm still trying to figure out the origin of the barcode.
The origin of the barcode is just basically higher level people not wanting to be bothered while they're trying to game, and people think that they're important enough that they deserve it too, so they use a barcode. But there's a little bit of strategy behind it, I guess. I mean, it's for people to not see your build if you're trying to test something new or work on something specifically.
Yeah, as you start playing the same people over and over again, it's kind of hard to do the same thing if you see the same person, so you know what to expect. So you know what to prepare for, and then you just hard counter it, so to speak. And I think that's the purpose of it. But it looks like if everybody's races are confirmed, we're going to have a TVP.
Okay, it looks like we're not having DeBarco. It looks like we're having Moros from Team2Pro.
Okay. And we're just waiting for the last few things going on as just verifying that everybody's races are good to go, so that way nobody goes into the game as their incorrect race.
Oh yeah, that's so terrible when you take all this time to just set up and it's just gone because someone's like, oh, I didn't check my race.
I had a game before where it was literally they would host the game and the game speed was set to normal, and then we're in the game and 30 seconds later hey, why is this a little bit slower? So then you had to do the whole thing over again.
This isn't this isn't GSL.
Yeah.
The observer changes the speed on you because he's trying to do little neat camera tricks.
Yeah, I remember Pro League, they couldn't even say good luck, have fun. So just they literally stopped playing the game or whatever. It's we need to give out a warning card because someone chatted. Unfortunately, here we can talk. Even in game, people have mouse things that are broken and stuff like that. So you are qualified to say things, although any of those things, words that may be disrespectful or whatever, will basically be used against your clan as a whole. So it's very important that you say things out of respect of others.
Yes.
So we're waiting for a couple more changes and tweaks to make sure everybody is good to go. Make sure all of our players are set. That way we don't host the wrong game.
I'm making sure we have the right amount of people in the lobby as well. Oh, the hazards of not being able to stop people from joining your game.
Well, I usually have the options to set those. I think it's in the options tab. I'm not entirely sure off the top of my head. I'm gonna look at it right now. And if I look at it, it says privacy, only allow friends to send me invites, enable players near you, auto join channel, show chat channels in game. I don't know. I don't think all of the ones, I think people can still join if they're on their friends list.
Yeah, there's something in game privacy that might let you do invite only, but I mean, uh, like there's especially one option that's really really annoying. Where is it? It's not let anyone talk to you if they're not on your friends list. That's always fun trying to get a hold of people.
Yeah, usually people do that whenever they're letting to. They'll enable that, and they'll basically say, "Hey, nobody talk to me" or whatever. And if you try to talk to them afterwards, then it says player requested. It's not allowing messages, and that's really difficult to say things back to them after the game.
Okay.
Well, we got our correct player here on Yunsu LE. Hopefully all of these changes are finalized, and this person is pending.
Oh, there he is. Oh, looks like Team2Pro sending out Vayne right now.
Pretty sure he's a Protoss player. So once again, it is going to be a TVP, and currently Saga is up 1.
Looks like all the casters are ready. Players are ready, and it looks like we're ready to start. Well, Blaze, we got a PVT. What do you expect?
Mass storms.
Mass storms? All the storms?
Yes.
I'm going to say all the storms, too. Okay, intro video.
Alright, so we're currently in the loading screen for our TVP on Yunsu. Hopefully somebody floats their CC on the corner of the map and makes a PF. That would be totally amazing to see. On the top right corner of the map, though, currently leading 1-0 the series from Saga, his name is Anwis. And on the bottom left corner of the map from Team2Pro, his name is Vayne.
Pink power Protoss, and it doesn't look like we're going to get that lift off. Sadly, maybe if those bases were gold, it would be a little bit more tempting. But
do you remember the map Metalopolis? I think it was called.
Yes, where it had two corner bases with the creep tumor in the center.
Oh man, no, that's the older one though. I think it was called Metropolis or Metalopolis or whatever. It used to be like really close spawns. It was like the construction map, 4-player map.
That was Metalopolis, and
yeah, 2 golds in the middle. Remember?
Yeah, I'm thinking of
Metropolis. I think it was you're referring to.
Yeah, the really long one with the 2 bases on the top left and the bottom right that had a creep tumor on them. It was an alright map. It was really long. Oh.
Well, Anwis is actually moving 2 of his SCVs out. Looks like he's going to be scouting with the first one, and the other one's going to be making a barracks. For Protoss, it looks like he's doing a pretty standard gateway first build. Nothing very unusual going on so far.
And there's no gas taken by Anwis just yet either. I mean, it's a little early still, so we can still see it, but it looks like 1 gas coming down for Vayne.
Anwis is actually not committing to gas, so I feel like he's going to go into a CC build. Let's look more at this amazing map called Yunsu. I know everybody likes playing on it because there's lots of bushes everywhere. And there's even rocks right next to your fort. Some people even break those down so they can buy themselves a few more seconds. There's also these, plateaus on your fort. You could even, do blink stalker pressure on that.
Yes, blink stalker pressure from the back is always so annoying. There's even a little tiny ramp for Reapers to hop up and down. If you can see it at the very top
Yeah,
of the Protoss
yeah, I've seen
base.
that used before.
Oh, so
Yeah,
annoying.
yeah, it's basically they're designed for that. If you look around the area, a lot of maps are like that. Not necessarily. I think Cloud Kingdom, that was basically a huge, opening for a plateau. So I feel like the intent of that small plateau is basically to allow Rippers to just instantly gain access. And it seems a little odd, but look at all the other maps. Every other map has the same thing. You get to the base from any direction.
Well, we do have an expand from Anwes right off the bat, and no probe going out for Vayne to try to expand as well. We might see a little bit of early pressure from him if he doesn't move that Zealot out to see if there's an engineering bay there. But a Stargate's coming down. Proxy Stargate.
Where is it at? I don't see it. Oh, there it is. Okay. So this is a very common thing Protoss like to do. It's so cool, and I'm going to guess this time it's going to be an Oracle.
Oh, it's super, super cool. And look at this probe. He's going after this Marine. He's going to get him, too.
And
Oh!
man, wow, that's a went half across the map. Holy cow!
Oh, he's going to escape, too. Oh, man, that is like a beast of a Zealot.
Did he kill two SCVs? Yeah, he did. Wow.
He killed one SCV and one Marine, because the probe doesn't have a kill. And the other SCV died from being a scout, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, it's on the Zealot back at home.
Well, that was a little bit over-exaggerating for that very odd harass. I just saw him go half across the map with one Zealot.
Ooh. Oracle is coming out, and with no gas early on from Anwes, he's only going to be able to produce Marines one at a time, and Oracles can take 4 or 5 Marines.
Well, there is a bunker set up this time, though. So, I mean, he's probably going to go around that, but the Marines stuck inside of there may take a while to get over.
Yeah, I can only defend the front, though, with that bunker. The mineral lines are completely exposed. This Oracle's going to do a lot of damage if he can poke in there.
And Enwis is actually putting down an engineering bay. He only does see, he just barely saw the second gas filter, but I think what he's getting from it is that he just sees Zealot production so far, and he's kind of confused where the gas is being committed to. So that's what the purpose of the engineering bay is. The Oracle is going to work on the natural now, disabling the mule in this case, to try about 130 minerals, and the first missile turret being placed down.
Oh, this Oracle just does so much damage to light units and attacks so fast. It's going to be able to kill 7 SCVs with 1 mule. Definitely worth the investment right there already.
Yeah, that's very unusual. It's not something you'd be able to scout, but Anwis had pretty good game sense to put down that engineering bay, understanding that he may get some sort of unusual tech at his base, and he was correct. Unfortunately, he needed to do it a little bit faster, so that way he would have been able to prevent all those kills that the Oracle was successful in getting.
Lack of gas early on from Anwis is going to start hurting him soon. Vayne's just looks like he's about ready to start teching soon. He's getting out Void Rays. We might see a gateway pressure right after this.
It's almost deja vu like last game. Just make a bunch of the Zealots and do a pressure attack because, he got his... Similar to the last game, as Slicer was pointing out, those 5 or 6 SCV kills in this case can incite you to say, hey, I'm going to go do an attack now because look at Vayne's economy.
Killing all those FCVs definitely puts him in a better position economically, but he's still got that military to deal with. And Anwis is a little supply blocked here, but his stem is on the way, and it's only about a third of the way done.
And +1 and a factory being produced by our Terran player. He is building a lot of Marines right now, so it should be beneficial for him to go into bio and abusing the fact that that engineering bay was being built for a reason.
And a standard 8-minute, 40-second mothership core from Vayne here. Pretty standard, right?
Yes, it is. I definitely agree with that. 2 stalkers in position on the main for Vayne. And so far, he's not necessarily committing to upgrades, but he has been making lots of probes. And it seems like Vayne is mass-producing Void Rays at this point. So he's probably going to be able to support this attack, and I think the focus of it will be the bunker.
Well, if the attack's going to happen, it's going to have to happen really soon because STEM's almost done. And once STEM gets finished, those Void Rays will just melt in the air.
Yeah, and he probably should have attacked at this point, but I think he's trying to be a little more conservative with his Void Rays, as even more probes are being built, even a starport being constructed now so you can start making medevacs. And the Oracle is going to be a little bit creative and try to go around to see if he can get some more SCV kills from a very unusual angle.
Revelations right now would definitely help. It would give location of Enwis's whole army. Let them be able to pick and choose where to go, where to send in the Void Rays and attack at the front door. But it looks like Anwis is picking up on something here. His spider sense is tingling.
Yeah, he was able to see this attack coming, which is already here, and he's defending with all of his SCVs. He's even making bunkers behind it. So even though there are several Void Rays here, I think there's just too much bio to hold off this attack.
There's definitely way too much Marines, but the bunker did go down, and it actually looks like Anwis had the Sentry Tower, or Zelnaga Tower, at the bottom the whole time. So he completely saw Vane's attack move out, but Vane's just pushing forward.
Yeah, he just doesn't have that much infantry, though. He's got a few units, 4 Marines, even one of them not attacking, but there's still several Void Rays. That Stargate was constantly producing Void Rays. It's still producing Void Rays, too. The whole point of not having it scouted is just an incentive for Vane to just constantly produce units and have easy access to, you know, supporting his attack, almost like, you know, he's warping in units. Another attack going on in the bunker.
The prismatic line needs to be used for everything, but there's just too many SCVs here.
Yep, there's lots of SCVs preparing that, but in this case, he's going to try to abuse the fact that those bunkers are not on top of that barracks, so he's able to get free hits in.
He is going to start bombarding the production facilities for Anwis. Vane's doing a very good job of trying to pull his units out of position, but these Void Rays are just melting all the Marines.
And since these SCVs are not mining right now, that's a huge loss in mining time. I know everybody's just going to, you know, go on mass Void Rays now because this, you know, this build is really good, and I just don't feel like there's enough production here. I feel like Vane is going to win this game.
Vane could actually go and take out this bunker right now. The SCVs weren't paying attention and they're not surrounding, and there he goes. The bunker goes down. I don't think Anwis is going to be able to hold this off.
Yep, not being able to scout the tech and figure out what was actually coming, as this attack was basically a long-term strategy for Vane, and there needed to be more production, more Marines, a couple of Widow Mines to be able to support this attack, and he needed to be able to figure that out.
There's the GG, and it looks like Team2Pro's Vane's going to take game number 2.
So that ties up the score 1-1, and we're going to go into our next game. Like we said before the end of that match, he was right in putting down the engineering bay. He had really good game sense to understand that there was something unusual going on. But the fact that he did not scour to figure out where the Stargate was, I mean, he scouted the base. We saw the SCV go into the base and, you know, look at everything. But he needed to stop the Stargate from being produced. That attack could have been controlled and, you know, halted at that point.
Yes, Anwis getting his late gas too. He was just unable to get the reactors out, which led to less Marines during the whole engagement. And he did have a good hold for as long as he could, considering what he had. But with those Void Rays just being overcharged, it was just too much for him to handle.
Yeah, and then eventually he just pulled all the SCVs, and the SCVs were not really doing anything. They, you know, they have really great repair abilities, but they need to be able to make money. And considering that the Oracle did a lot of damage, that, you know, a lot of people are capitalizing on that advantage that they have throughout the beginning of the game and then going with it. Usually a response from the person who's behind that point means they need to do something, they need to build, you know, do a drop. They need to double, you know, make another CC or something. Try it, you know, take a risk. You have to take a risk. Otherwise, you know, a situation like that occurs and you basically just get steamrolled.
I think the option right there was to try and drop, or at least scout out where the Stargate was and shut it down. Because once you shut down the Stargate, then that's no more Void Rays. And that means your bunkers are going to be that much safer. And the only thing I can really think of besides getting gas earlier is just going for that drop.
Yep. So we're working on the next game for Game 3 of the series for Saga versus Team2Pro. I think the players are organizing who they're going to send out next, and hopefully this is the right game that I'm joining. Oh, good.
You got it the right one this time? All right, great.
I did.
Let's see how accurate these rosters are. It looks like Jason's going to be the player for SagaCity, and medic perhaps for Team2Pro.
And according to races, looks like it's going to be a PvT again. Am I correct? Yes, I am. And
Another PvT. So we were wrong last time. There's absolutely no storms. It was
no
just borders.
storms because everybody's making Stargate units. I'm totally influencing everybody here. Everybody should just make Stargates. They're so amazing.
Sky toss is best toss, right?
And according to the map vetoes, it seems like the 2 vetoes that occurred, unfortunately, are going to be Ochi and Kwangali Beach and Fruitland TL, according to the way this map is designed. Dang it.
I'm disappointed. We're all going to get scurvy now.
As the Killian Waste is going to be our 3rd map, we understand that we have lots of pirates in the audience, but unfortunately we do not get to play on Fruitland.
Well, if they're not pirates, they're going to have something to relate to them anyway soon. Oh, but it looks like we're getting the
so
rest of the players.
Is Medic Team Terran then?
I don't believe so. I mean, when you've played over 321 one-on-one games and it says you're Protoss, I'm going to have to stick with I'm Protoss in this
in this situation.
Yeah.
And we're just waiting for a couple more people to get into the lobby. For those of you that are just joining us, this is a 8-week-long series. We're currently on week number 6, and these players are competing for points. We have 10 unique players that we are casting today, as they're currently tied in the series 1-for-1. And as our 3rd match we have on Achilles Waste, it's going to be a 5-game total series, and they're competing for points.
Yes, they are. Our first Top Dog League is getting close to coming to an end. There are only 2 more weeks left after that, and we might have a little something special for the top 4 teams if they so choose, but we still got to work out the finer details for that. So it's just a little something to look out for later on. That's why you should go follow us on our social media, on Twitter and on Facebook. It's linked in the screen you're seeing right now, or at least it better be.
It's right above our faces, if you're paying attention to that at all.
Somewhere.
And the countdown has begun, and 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, here we go. Right, so we are doing this game on PvT, Killian Wastes. On the bottom right corner, our Terran player from X Saga, his name is Jason. And on the top left corner of the map, we have our Protoss player from Team2Pro, his name is Medic.
While they may have vetoed Fruitlands, at least Medic is orange.
That's like the closest thing you're ever going to get to that.
Yeah. Maybe he's just spreading awareness.
He is trying his best as he's playing on this desert map, as we have to have added effect to the fact that everybody's dehydrated too. This map has 2 watchtowers, one on the bottom left and one on the top right. And there are several ramps here, and these ramps are just totally abusable. Some players like to hold off their concaves right there, and that's the advantage. It's called the defender's advantage of being in the right position, split up to get the best engagement possible. Even parts of the map, like this little arc right here, could be used as a concave, and this one right here could be used as a concave. Even some of these areas over here could also be used. So whenever you're battling your opponent across the map, try to take advantage of those to see if you can get a better engagement before you're forced to use your last resort, which is on your natural.
Might as well call this Ramp City.
Yep, because there's ramps everywhere.
Ooh, we got an early reactor out from Jason. Looks like Reapers. Very popular for this map.
Yeah, there's lots of different area. Well, there's not as big as an area. I mean, I guess the minor detail for Yonso is a little patch or whatever you can just climb up of. But Jason is being really cautious. Like, he's just scouting everywhere just to try to make sure there's no proxy 2 gates.
Or even that proxy Stargate.
Oh, yeah, that.
Yeah, we.
Influencing everybody to see that.
Oh boy, we don't need any more proxy stargates, but who knows? We might see another one here.
Hmm.
Because as Medic throws down his cyber core, and well, there's no expansion quite yet for Jason. Doesn't have the money, not the right time. The Reaper is on its way though.
Yep, and anybody can create their own metagame. Doesn't necessarily have to be a couple guys that you watch. If there's something that influences your play style, then go ahead and go with it. As we notice, some people open Reaper and some people open CC, whereas our Protoss player is going to open up his second gas, and we'll see what comes right after the Signaler as a engineering bay goes down by Jason.
Jason only throwing down that engineering bay just to block the expansion.
I actually think he's trying to get upgrades.
He's trying to get upgrades?
He's trying to get upgrades right here.
Hey, why not? Right? I mean, it can't lift off anymore, so it's not very safe, but...
He's referring to the Brood War engineering bay, which was a massive, looked like something from Star Wars or something, and it's barely not finished. It has like 0.2 seconds left. It could be finished. Could get something really quick. This Reaper's actually going to try to engage a Stalker, but not be successful in this case.
This is kind of a double-edged sword. Medic actually got a Stalker out to fight off the Reaper, but without that Zealot out there to help DPS down the engineering bay, he's not going to be able to get any kind of expansion down anytime soon. But a Twilight Council coming out. So, DTs?
Quite possibly, and we're going to see whether or not Jason has the same game sense as the last Terran that just played. Unfortunately, though, he's going to research Blink, and just by having this engineering bay here will provide him enough information to know that he's not expanding, and that should incite Jason to be a little bit more defensive.
Yes, if Jason actually sees more than 2 or 3 Stalkers out of Medic way early, then he knows it's going to be Blink. So with that early gas, he's actually going to be able to tech starting now, and he has a reactor on that barracks to be able to hold off any Blink pressure. As long as there's another bunker or 2 that goes down in some appropriate spots. Blink's not exactly limited as the Reaper's.
Wow. And a cancellation going on by Jason. I'm actually going to figure out if he scouted this or not. All he sees right now, I think, is just the 2 Stalkers, because he did have the Reaper just get suicided. So I think he verified that it was it looked like it would be all-in, just based on the fact that the engineering bay is here, and he canceled that bunker to be able to, even a second one going down now, so he seems to know what's going on.
Yes, Jason's game sense is definitely telling him to blink all in with that engineering base still there. He's going to try and evacuate everything up to the high ground as soon as possible, I believe. Or, he's just going to build SCVs.
Yeah, he's trying to be as greedy as possible and realizes that he can't defend the natural. Blink Stalker builds on maps vary on difficulty, and that's why there is just so many bunkers being placed right now, because he knows that a Blink Stalker can trade way more cost efficiently than a Marine, even a Siege Tank being produced right now. So there's not enough time to get Marauders out, so he's got to find some sort of way to absorb a lot of damage and at the same time do a lot of damage.
Jason's going to need to snipe off that mothership core as soon as possible. But it looks like Medic's just going to try and poke in on the front, and he's not going to be able to get any damage. And he's taking a natural at the 3rd.
Well, he needs money, and at the same time, this could confuse Jason and think that this is going to be an endless one base all-in, while he makes a few probes and just starts focusing on that 3rd. Really good decision made by Medic to understand that he probably won't be able to commit to this, but he's going to do as much damage as he can with it.
Oh, killing that supply depot is actually supply blocking. Supply blocked Jason for a little bit, but he just had another one finish up. Or he used a supply drop, actually forcing Jason to use a supply drop just to keep Marines pumping out.
So the Stalker is going to try to chip away at this engineering bay now. It's been good enough of a guide, but now a Forge and a Robo being produced by Medic. So he's going to transition from this, and he's going to try to, continuously attack and continuously blink away while trying to do damage. He's burning minerals, he's burning mining time. Although he has mules, he's able to afford to do this in terms of what Jason is able to defend with.
This is very, very smart what Medic's doing here. He's making Jason stay as defensive as possible. And Jason hasn't really been making SCVs too much. He's still on... he does have all those parked ready to repair. And he may have 2 bases, but one's not mining. It looks like Medic's just forced the contain and started mining on his 2nd base already.
Yep, Medic is now in the lead with his saturation in terms of the economy. Although he balances out with mules, but at the same time, the main will probably be mined out faster than the Protoss's main, as we see two observers and +1 armor in production, and also charged by our Protoss player.
We have a Raven coming out from Jason. This is always a fun choice because Raven's PDDs are just so annoying to stalkers because they shoot down lasers, which I didn't know a laser could shoot down a laser, but we'll work with it.
And they're really fast. They intercept stalker beams. I guess they use particle disruptors, so those particle disruptors just don't do anything at all. So I mean, if you want to try it at home, be my guest. I don't know anything about particle disruptors though.
Oh man, you're gonna have someone destroy a whole building if you just keep talking like that.
As a supply depot does get reduced, which does supply block Jason yet again. I think he just decided to supply drop again, so lots of those going on, but this natural CC or orbital is now ready to get into position as there's 3 siege tanks. The fake attack by Medic is now over, and he has a huge lead in probe count right now by 11.
The army sizes are still fairly equal too, so even if Jason tries to push out, Medic can just blink right on top of him and kill off both of those siege tanks ASAP. PDD does not have enough energy to stop more than 2 or 3 volleys from all those stalkers.
Yep, and a lot of players are now getting stabilized yet again, but as we pointed out in the last game, this case, the risk that just occurred was the Blink Stalker pressure build to just be able to disable the NAT. It's up to Jason to figure out what sort of thing he needs to do to get back into this game. He may not realize that he is behind, but if he lets the minor lead that Medic was able to capitalize on get out of control, that could put him in a really nice spot for the late mid-game.
Now, Jason doing something interesting. He's going a Marine Siege Tank, which you don't really see too often against Protoss players, mostly because charge lots essentially destroy this if your Marines don't have upgrades. And with STEM and +1 just starting right now, and charge already being finished with double upgrades coming out from Medic, just a heavy gateway army can completely run that over.
Jason is taking his third. He's still under the assumption that the Protoss is on 1 base, maybe even 2 base. Now he's putting down his 2 base, so he may be under the impression that he's still ahead because he was able to successfully block that attack. I don't think he understands that the third has already been established this entire time. This is why the importance of scouting should occur.
Yes, Jason not actually using his scans too well to be able to know what's going on. But it looks like taking that
now
third
he
base
realizes it.
Does he see it now? Oh, he definitely sees
realizes
it now.
it. I think Jason understands that he's not as far ahead as he thought he was, as Medic's third on the natural in this case is being taken. So if he starts probing that up, he's going to be able to get himself into the late game and get into those mass storms that are really micro intensive. And we're maybe going to see some ghosts. 2 sensor towers being produced by our Terran player, so that way you can determine any sort of warp prisms that may occur within this game. And it looks like this is going to be a really long game.
Well, looks like Medic's dropping a whole bunch of gateways, and with Thermal Lance and a robotics facility being done, there's going to be Colossus on the way. So, Siege Tank's slightly better than Colossus, but they just can't move.
Yeah, the siege tanks, I feel like the utility of them will eventually start to go down unless he decides to transition behind it and just have the siege tanks correctly used in the engagement, gets lots of damage out. This Phoenix is going to go all the way around the sentries, or excuse me, the sensor towers. As we notice, the warp prism is being built. In terms of upgrades, we have our Terran player at 0-1 and our Protoss player at 1-2.
Yeah, and Jason can actually see this observer that's sitting here over like the corner of Jason's base, and he's not killing it with any Marines. It's a little strange.
As this actually provokes Medic to actually move out in front of the map right now, there's just Marines everywhere. Holy cow, they're just like, spotters, I guess you could say, in terms of what's going on.
It looks like Jason's doing his best to scout as much as possible with what he has, and trying to use as much energy as he can just to mule back up. Being forced to use the supply drops is always the worst case scenario, and it's still even not that bad of a case if you definitely need to make stuff.
And Medic is trying to bait attention on these rocks yet again, as the War Prism is going through the main right now. One Marauder in position to intercept anything, but unfortunately one Marauder does not kill the Zealots until a bunch of Marines show up.
Oh, the Zealots did manage to get warped in though, but they're going to get cleaned up rather easily, but it's distracting Jason from the side attack. And, a couple Seeker missiles. Oh,
and
yeah.
Unfortunately, Medic's micro is actually really good, but I don't think this attack is really going to accomplish anything, as the bio mass is actually inside of the base right now. That one class is going to be taken out. In terms of units lost, both players actually, Protoss is a little bit behind by about 1,000, so it's a really good trade for Jason in this case.
Oh, that Colossus was in the back doing a whole lot of work. Those bio forces were just kind of lining up just for that Colossus to burn down. I saw plenty of Marines get toasted. But we have a storm transition.
Yep, and both players are taking their fourth, and there is a lot of random units sorted everywhere. Probes, Zealots, even stuff on the watchtowers being monitored as Medic is forced to rebuild his composition. I'm not entirely sure if he's trying to trade at all or if he's just trying to keep the numbers down, but that War Prism attack was thwarted off successfully as Mobius Reactor is being produced.
Yeah, that means Ghost should be coming out here shortly. But 3 armor just got finished for Medic. 3 attacks almost done, and Storm's about halfway. And there's already plenty of Templar out on the field gaining energy. So we're going to see a whole lot of Storms here shortly.
Yep, and even though Jason got a really good engagement there, the supplies are now actually going back into Medic's favor for some odd reason. I'm not sure what's going on. Neither player is really hardcore floating or anything. It just seems like these supplies are just back in session in terms of equaled.
I think the problem right now is that there's just not enough barracks for Jason. He only has 6, and on 4 bases, well, 3 bases, I guess, right now, he should have a little bit more than that, maybe 8 or 9.
Yeah, he should be able to get his production to the point where he's basically constantly reproducing units, but he is making a lot of Marauders, and I think it's because of the fact that he does see pressure coming from the top, and he is sending his units across. He's trying to capitalize on that advantage. He does see the attack, and he does hold this off. It's really good for him because he doesn't take any SCV damage in this case.
A bit of a mistake by Medic. After those Marauders started engaging those Zealots, you should have just let those continue to attack. They might have gotten 1 or 2 more kills instead of just being slaughtered entirely for free. But Medic's just poking around a little bit with his main army while trying to flank.
Yep, both these players are pretty much used to doing these multi-prong attacks. We saw the Warp Prism earlier. We see all these pylons everywhere. They're literally all over the map. There's even Marines assorted around the map, just monitor everything. These are, these small advantages that both players is trying to get eventually when they get to the point. Obviously, you don't want to throw away thousands and thousands of minerals, but at the same time, he's trying to accomplish damage, trying to catch him off guard, trying to tax his multitasking.
Well, there's 3 Colossus being produced at a time now for Medic, so things are going to get a little out of hand for Jason. I mean, there's plenty of Vikings out, but that's not enough to one-shoot, I don't think.
Medic, totally aggressive, taking his 6th on the bottom left. The Marine does spot it. He is just totally taking expands all across the map. He has really good control right now. I'm a little confused on what Jason is waiting for. He has a lot of Vikings to deal with the Colossus, as Slicer just pointed out, and there is a few Stargates being produced in the process of it for the ability to transition into the late game.
Jason's waiting for 3380, I guarantee. Oh, well, he's pushing out his 3 attacks about ready to finish, so he might be hoping for something to happen right there. But beyond that, it looks like Medic's starting to get upgrades he doesn't necessarily need, and going straight for 6 Stargates. Wow.
Wow. I think this is going to be a massive transition, as we notice. He is staying at about 170 supply. I think he just warped in a few Zealots, actually a few meaning 10. And I think the Stargates, he'll probably trade a little bit as the Zealots are getting taken out from the top, not really accomplishing too much. I think they're just being more of a mineral dump. But since all these expansions are in play, he's going to start taking a lot of gas and even, transitioning. I'm not entirely sure. This is very unusual for me. I feel like either carriers, maybe, even Tempests, are the only things I can think of, but there's 6 Stargates.
And there's also a warp prism in the base, and the missile turrets just weren't up yet. We're going to see a massive warp in, and there's actually a battle at the 3rd here.
Yep, and at the same time, he backs away. 10 more Zealots get warped in yet again. And this time, not half across the map, as the 3rd is actually under fire by that same attack that was going on. So Jason is forced to multitask his attacks. He's got his ghosts in position. Even Vikings are immediately striking down. I don't like this choice by Medic, though. He's once again committing his composition inside of the 3rd as the scans go down. And he does have the HTs, but they just got EMP'd.
All the High Templars just got EMP'd right there, which means he has absolutely no anti-air. All the Colossus are just going to get destroyed. These Archons are finally going to warp in, but the entire army just died.
Yeah, and he made the same mistake twice. And even though...
Oh boy, that's a lot of carriers. Well, if there's anything I've learned from watching someone say, like, White Raw, carriers aren't very good against mass Marine. Especially if the upgrades are not at 3-3 right off the bat, but 2-1's actually on the way right now. So, but carriers, I don't know if I can agree with this choice.
Jason was Medic was trying to trade really cost efficiently in that engagement. Unfortunately, he was not successful. He keeps making the same mistake by going into this choke and just committing his composition against Jason. Jason has a huge bio army, but he is trying to, secure his bases right now, make sure he doesn't lose instantly. But you got to be able to scout this tech switch. I mean, what's going to happen? Is he going to sit on the corner of the map or something? Like, how is he going to approach this?
Well, what's going to happen is all these Vikings are going to do their best to shoot down carrier after carrier. He's going to focus fire with those. These Marines are going to do the same thing, and these Marauders are just going to run around and be like, I can't shoot upwards.
And there's a lot of Marauders, as Slicer pointed out. I want to be specific about this. 25 Marauders right now. So the longer they stay in the game, and if this tech switch gets caught out of position, that's going to be a lot of dead supply. So maybe that's what Medic was trying to enforce. Go into the Blink Stalkers to try to get a little bit more Marauders produced, and then do a tech switch in the later game, so that way those Marauders are actually a lot less effective.
Yes, if only Medic's High Templar, all of the High Templar got EMP'd essentially at the same time in that last battle. And if those storms all went off, and it would have been looking like a much different game. But, well, goes for you.
Yeah, the control of both players is very important. It's not necessarily. As the scans are going down, I'm going to interrupt myself personally. He is scanning. He does see the carriers, so he does realize what's going on. And I want to see what Jason's response is. He's going to do a drop in the process of realizing that he needs to get some work done. It's 28 minutes into the game, and he needs to start engaging these bases on the core of the map.
Now, Jason does have one thing going on for him. He does have 3 starports, but only one has a reactor on it. So if he can just start pumping out Vikings as much as possible, he might be able to do something.
5 starports, as Slicer pointed out, and also a mothership being produced, so that way the added stealth, the Raven that was produced earlier, and at this point in the game, there's going to be a lot of multi-prong attacks. We're going to try our best to keep up with everything going on.
Yeah, 1 drop headed alongside here, right for the natural. Even though the natural's a little mined out and there's defenses there. And Medic's actually catching this drop in the bottom out of position.
And there's also a drop going on, which just barely got fed back. There's 2 Marauders and 1 Marine at the top, as the carriers are just totally confused on what's going on. I think that attack, it has 5 health left. Probes are going to attack the Marauder. The probes are successful in that engagement.
Scary, scary probes. Never want to go up against a probe like that. And we have a mothership coming out.
Yep, and it is just barely done, as the supplies are showing there is 11 carriers against 18 Vikings and 8 ghosts currently. Now, as you notice, these bios are basically just being suicided, as I was pointing out earlier. If he had these Marauders on this engagement, then he would be totally screwed. Like, it would just been really bad for him.
Marauders not being able to shoot grenades upwards, even though they can shoot them straight ahead. But they'd be definitely completely useless against carriers, and just all this multi-prongs testing medics and mobility of his army. He can't move back and forth fast enough.
Yep, so not only is he trading supply efficiently by removing probes and trying to deny mining time, he's also trying to get his supply increased for the upcoming Vikings that he is going to need, and that's the importance of it. Mothership is on the field, so now we're going to see if there's any Ravens present, as mass missile turrets in the center are being produced.
3 Ravens are on the way, so that Mothership's cloaking is not going to be as useful. So the most you're going to get out of it is a Time Warp or 2, and there are a couple of Colossus there, just to be sure, and 1 or 2 High Templars for Storms.
And the last upgrades for the Protoss fleet are currently underway, as we're going to watch Interceptors kill lots of stuff. I know everybody does this in their team games, so it's loads of fun to do, as SCVs and even Zealots are being transferred to the top area. Wow.
Looks like a couple multi-prong attacks here. Jason's going to have to decide what he wants to try and kill. The Mothership is there with the carriers.
The ghosts! The ghosts! They're just getting thrown away. EMPs still go down, and here comes the Vikings. Clear opportunity for him to actually go in and do as much damage as possible. Hunter Seeker missiles going down, trying to split up his carriers. He does not have all of his carriers here, so those Vikings are just doing way too much damage.
These Vikings are on a force attack command, smartest thing Jason could do right now, and they're just going to get cleaned up entirely. But at the cost of this top base, but these SCVs are repairing through it.
And the Ghost just going in there. They were a little bit behind that Observer. The Observer was just, really key on that attack. He needed to pay attention. These Colossus are going to be cleaned up. Not too much damage being done. Actually just disabling the third of Jason for quite a moment. But I'm a little confused on what Medic is trying to do. I think he's thinking about what units he's going to try to produce.
Well, if you're Medic right now, you're just like, well, my best tier 3 unit in the Stargate just completely got obliterated by a few EMPs and all the Vikings. And
wow.
I can't believe that.
The Immortals being produced.
Immortals
so
being
he's actually,
produced.
Yeah, he's going to go into a gateway composition again.
Well, I'm not sure how well. Well, okay, maybe here's a little bit of theory. Charge Lot Immortal Archon. It would definitely render the Vikings fairly useless if they tried to land Immortals to completely chew them up. And the bio will get taken out by the Archons and Charge Lots. So maybe with a Storm here and there and feedbacks on all the Ravens so that the Seeker missiles can't get out.
Yeah, it's going to be really micro-intensive at this point, as these medevacs are still trying to accomplish drops, but there is just a bazillion cannons at this third. That third's never going to be taken out, as the bottom base would probably be a better choice. I'm really confused on what Jason's plan at this point. I think he's going to try to suicide these Vikings. As we notice on the bottom portion of the map, he is going to make a beeline for this bottom 5th base of medics.
Looks like he just doesn't want to drop anymore. He just wants to land Vikings. He does not have any medevacs out on the field, so it's probably why he can't drop too well. But it looks like there are a lot of Archons out on the field.
Yep, and is there any ghosts? I think he's just started ghost production again.
He probably had to wet himself a little bit once he sees all these Archons. But the Vikings have landed, and he's going to lose that base.
Yeah, the Vikings are going to... Actually, here comes the Archons. I don't think they're going to get the best surround, though. The Vikings' DPS is just really good, unfortunately, as the Vikings are now just going to disappear.
Vikings still proving their worth, even though there's no Colossus to shoot. Oh, even unless they get picked off by that one Stalker, but they're not.
So overall, the supplies are actually favoring our Terran player in this case, as he's going to try to do... Medic's going to try to do an attack on the 4th yet again. He does realize he has a base or 2 up he's producing right now, but bio attacks going on right now. I think Medic's army is caught out a little out of position as a High Templar gets taken out.
That little bit of a flank was very good. Getting rid of those High Templars, definitely what you need, especially if you're trying to hold a planetary. You don't want your SCVs to get stormed.
Yep, as the Raven count for Jason is slowly building, his cost efficiency across the game will get greater and greater as the gas on the map starts to get really small. The Vikings, once again, are actually proving to be a hazard, but they're attacking this really random base that has nothing. And I think he's just trying to trade supply at this point.
Oh, here come all the Seeker missiles. They're just on everything. This entire
Oh my
army's gonna
god.
melt. Oh, all the
And that was
zealots.
really, really cost efficient for our Terran player, as he still has the energy for the Ravens alive. Even more Seeker missiles going down, some of them being dodged. There is one of them left, but there is a very small composition here for our Protoss player. I feel like Jason is just going to be really successful here.
Oh, Medic doing his best to stop the Seekers from getting off, but the bio is just too strong right now. And with 3-3 done, and that carrier was just like, I don't want to live anymore. But with 3-3 done, it bio from Terran just melts Gateway from Protoss.
And you know what I just noticed? There's just barely any sort of economy going on for both players. There's 38 probes versus 26 SCVs, and although there are bases on the map, they're just barely being mined right now, as both players have extremely small income.
Yes, there are only 42 workers out for Medic and 30 workers out for Jason. This game's been going back and forth. I mean, we got a counterattack here at Medic's third again.
Yep, and a few Marines on the 5th, but remember that they don't have enough to just warp in 10 Zealots, as we were seeing about 20 minutes ago, where you could just throw away money like it was nothing. Now you gotta actually, spend your money efficiently, otherwise you get into a situation like this where both players just have absolutely nothing. But who has the most cost-efficient army? The person with the Ravens right now that have been surviving the entire game.
Yep, it looks like Jason might have the little bit of an advantage with all those Seekers. He's going to need to repair those. It looks like he's finally pulling off a few SCVs to make sure that these Ravens don't get sniped off really quickly by a quick storm or a few feedbacks.
And this is what's going on with the Terran army in this case. The Terran army is a little bit more cost efficient. He had more of a better plan for his late game, thought process. He wasn't just going to make a bunch of units. He was going to try to build energy-based units so that way his gas is efficient. Another counterattack by Jason trying to disable this Nexus so he can try to reduce the income of our Protoss player, but I feel like he's going to work more towards keeping these bottom bases now.
I feel like Jason understands what's going on right now. He knows that the map is starting to get really mined out. We just passed the 40-minute mark, and it's going to be a matter of containing the Protoss to not mine any more than he can. He knows there's not going to be as many warp ends as there were, so as long as he's trading cost efficiently with his army, he's going to be in the advantage.
Oh. But that medevac just got taken out as Scan's going down on the bottom side of the map, realizing that he's been mining from the 6th on the bottom, as a Terran player is now establishing his 6th as he drops a bunch of mules on it. And I mean, as much as he has, all the ability to, not have so many SCVs, he has the ability to just throw mules at this point of the game.
Both players only about 4,000 minerals off on the units lost tab. Very, very close game, and we actually have a Warp Prism coming out for Medic again. Little strange considering how often it's been shut down before.
But I feel like Jason's going to press the matter. He does have full energy Ravens right now, so it can be considered a timing attack. Here comes the Ghost, or he's going to get the MPs off on the High Templars. That's all he's aiming for in this case. It barely just gets down. Seeker missiles going down. I feel like the Terran composition here is going to be successful in this game.
Jason proving to us Seeker missiles still pretty useful, especially, or even after they got nerfed a little bit to do the little charge up, but Medic's just going to lose his only mining base, and Jason's army is just way too big.
Yep, and that is going to force Medic to do a base trade, although I don't feel like he has the supply nor the income to actually be able to pull this off at this point. There's almost no mining being done by the Protoss player, while the Terran player still has his one base established. This is what we were talking about earlier. We need to be able to hold the areas that we're mining and not necessarily all of our tech sitting in one area.
Medic only has 12 Zealots and 4 High Templar, while Jason has over 30 Marauders and almost 40 Marines, so I think no matter how you try and just storm everything down, Jason's just going to end up winning this game.
Yep, and mostly came from a lot of commitment to the carriers and a couple of really bad engagements on the third of our Terran player. Those are the biggest key factors of not being able to attack. A couple of these zealots that were built, every unit's pretty important right now for Medic, but he just doesn't have a strong economy. He's literally mining from these mineral patches that have like 50 on them.
And long distance mining at that. Looks like Medic's trying to save to throw down another Nexus somewhere. But, I mean, if Jason just pushes out, he might be a little weary because his army's pretty stemmed down right now, so he might be afraid of a few storms, but Medic just doesn't have anything.
No, he's still trying to harass the 6th that's being established. In fact, I think the 6th was just barely mined. And here comes the last engagement, I would imagine. Storm goes down, but the kiting ability of Jason to try to expose the energy. Here comes the Ravens. They're going to do lots of AoE damage. Feedback going down. But there is... Oh, man, that was a dud as a Zealot's really Zealot versus Marauder composition.
That Planetary Fortress almost killed 3 of the High Templar there. They got a little too close, but... Oh, the storm's going down.
Oh man, really good storms. A lot of the composition he takes out, but there's just no gateway army here. Medic just does not have any supply as Jason wins that game.
Jason's showing he's a little bit more familiar with the late game than Medic seems to have been. Medic deciding to throw away a lot of units. And that carrier transition was a little strange, if you ask me.
Yeah, that was twice, or not twice, excuse me. Yeah, he just decided to put down 6 Stargates, and then he's just like, you know, I make a bunch of carriers, and he had like 4 carriers in production at that point in the game, but he just decided to do an attack anyway. He should have waited until all of his supply was together.
He was making 6 carriers at a time too, and it was just so much gas being invested into this unit that's completely and easily countered by the most basic unit of your opponent. It just seems like not exactly the wisest choice.
Mm-hmm. And it was really clutch positioning by the Ghosts to get their EMPs off before they died instantaneously. So Jason was able to capitalize on seeing that and actually executing that part of the attack. Jason was kind of he knew the situation was occurring, so he suicided a lot of his units to create Marauders and Marines at the right time, not necessarily when he's going up against carriers. So he was able to understand that was going on and also be able to get a really good attack.
It was a really well played game by Jason. He was able to, like you said, tech switch when he needed to. He threw away his army so he can replace it with a better tech army, but he did so not in like a completely sacrificed manner. He got at least something out of what he had when he was as he was switching up his composition and trying to deal with carriers.
Yeah, that's why when you go through the entire game, it's not necessarily 1 or 2 engagements. It's the several engagements that have occurred. Whether you commit inside of the third, it happens in ZVP all the time, where you just basically you go over a ramp and say he's committing his composition because he's doing this in such a fashion where he can't just walk away and say, oh, I'm done with this attack. No, you're gonna get stemmed and chased down, or you're gonna get force fielded and forced to an attack. So that's the importance of overextending and knowing when you should basically pull back.
Yeah, very good decision making on both players' parts, really, especially after that blink attack from Medic, being able to pull back and keep all of those stalkers alive for a later time. It was good opening from both. The carrier switch is kind of what doomed Medic in the end. But Jason just proving he can adapt to whatever his opponent throws at him, even if it's something wild like carriers.
Yep, and that's the experience that you can earn on ladder. It doesn't have to be a blue bar that says you're level 30 and you have amazing play. You have to actually put yourself in the situation that these players are put in, and that's the experience that you're actually earning. Not to disregard Blizzard's system or anything. There's a lot of game sense that both these players just went through and displayed on this game that we just casted. So a lot of it's stuff that they learned over the course of their tenure.
Yep. But, yeah, getting off the subject of last game, once again, we're going to promote ourselves again. Go follow us on Twitter, TDog underscore or T-Dogs underscore esports for Twitter, Thunderdog Esports, one word for Facebook. Go follow us there. If you're a League of Legends player, go check out our new league that we're starting. I think it's a league. It may be a tournament. Nope, it's our Top Dog in a league. It's starting November 11th, and the registration deadline is November 10th. There are prizes. First prize is 3,200 RP points plus Triumphant Rise skin, 2,400 RP points for second place, 1,600 RP points for third, and 800 RP points for fourth place. So go register. There's already 3 or 4 teams registered right now. And if you guys think you can do it, go grab 4 people and see what you got for yourself.
And we are currently getting the players into the lobby right now. We're in a best of 5 series. You're going to see 10 unique players playing in the Top Dog StarCraft 2 NA. We even have one for the EU that is currently going on. So if you have EU players, just as Slicer was pointing out, go ahead and sign up for that. We eventually will process our next wave of people after the 8 weeks have elapsed. Right now we're on week number 6 for the North American version of this that we're currently going through. We're currently 2-1 as we're waiting for the players to get into the lobby so we can get this next map on Belshire Vistage LE starting.
Yeah, but it looks like we're going to see Aiden from Team2Pro and Jardozer from SagaCity. And, well, actually, let's give a little bit of backstory on SagaCity. SagaCity is a little weird case for our Top Dog NA. One of the teams needed to drop out earlier on in our Top Dog League around week 2. And at about the same time, SagaCity contacted us and were still interested in playing. So to keep the teams even, we actually let them come in a little later on than normal. So a little bit of a break for SagaCity, but it kept the team pool at 16 teams even.
Yep, those 16 teams that are currently playing their games right now. These are the 2 teams that we are casting right now. We have 14 other teams currently competing against each other, doing the exact same format that's going on right now. So that way, you know, they're being managed, they're being, you know, having their games legitimately played, and they even have the opportunity to have their games casted. But you know, that's what we're doing right now. Even other streamers, you know, that you'll see through Twitch, other people that will be doing the exact same thing that we're doing right now to basically get a lot of people playing StarCraft 2.
Yep, and with our NA Season 1 almost over, look out for the registration for Season 2. That's going to be up within the next few weeks. We have yet to figure out what day we want to set it up for, but it'll definitely be starting after the new year.
Yep, as the person that we have joining the lobby has finally made the decision to do so, and upon further inspection, these players play a lot of StarCraft 2, and that's what I like to see. It looks like it's going to be a ZVT, if I did not mishap that, on Belshire.
It does look like a ZVT. Yep, CVT on Belshire sounds like the right race. At least it looks like it from the amount of their games played. And,
yep. And everybody's ready to go, so the casters are good. We have lots of different people, just like the ones that are watching it today. I appreciate everybody for taking the time as the countdown is currently being done.
Almost time for your favorite part, Blaze.
Alright, so on the top left portion of the map, we have our Zerg player. His name is Jardozer. And on the bottom right portion of the map, we have our Terran player. His name is Aiden.
Now, I don't know about you, but Jardozer just does not seem like a very threatening name. I mean,
What? He sounds like a bulldozer.
but for Jars.
Okay, so are we on Star Wars again? This is the topic we're gonna go with.
We're going to go with Star Wars.
So he's a Jar Jar Binks bulldozer. That's what's going on. So the goal of Zerg is he's going to have these Ultralisks. We're going to substitute them as Jar Jar bulldozers. He's going to make lots of those in this game, and he's going to go to the Terran base and just bulldoze him down.
Oh,
Actually,
I really, really hope that they aren't able to talk.
So I actually I lost my train of thought. I apologize.
Oh, it's okay, Blaze. We may see Ultras coming out, and we don't see an early gas here from Aiden, but he looks like he's going for it. So we're going to see Reaper opening right off the bat. Probably going to see a 3-base Marine Widow Mine that still has not seemed to fallen off how popular it is.
Yeah, and I've noticed a little bit of variation. Some people are trying to get creative in their games. Some of them incorporating Hellbat, some of them incorporating Banshee into mass air, and even some players who are just, I don't want to go Mutalisks, I want to go Infestors, or I want to build Ultralisks. And as much as I'm, partially facetious whenever I say, they're going to build Ultralisks in this game, it may not be the decision of Jardozer. Maybe he decides to, go into Infestors. Maybe he decides to go into Swarm Hosts. I don't know. A lot of players have their own styles and their own reasoning why they do their builds.
Oh, but it would be very funny to see Jardozers and Infestors out on the field.
Yeah, that's true. He has the potential to fungal several SCVs, even, fake a lot of hits on the Widow Mines by using the Infested Terran if he sees where they're planted and instantly, gets them in the right position. They could substitute for Zerglings, so he's not throwing away a bunch of minerals if he can't afford it. And since we are playing on Belster, this map's going to be really difficult to be able to secure the forward 4th and the forward 5th. So I'm pretty sure on a map like this, you're forced to do some sort of aggression.
It looks like the Reaper is on the way, and the second Reaper is being made. So we're going to see a little heavy Reaper harass here. And with the spawning pool just getting done, these queens are going to be a little bit delayed. This Reaper's going to be very annoying until that queen pops out.
Yep, we're going to see a lot of spores and a lot of spines being produced. They aren't going to be used defensively. They're going to be used so that way he saves those drones as the first one gets attacked. Now, you can get anywhere from 1 to 3 kills. Most of the time, even 1 is usually really rare or really bad in some cases. But unfortunately, Jardozer is probably going to lose around 6 minerals at tops.
Well, these mini Jardozers are trying the best to hold off the Reaper, but without any wings, it's going to be a little hard for them to fly, at least boost their way towards that Reaper.
Yeah, and the Queens are trying to intercept them, but unfortunately, the Reaper escapes with 15 health points as he gets 2 Zergling kills and a CC being produced, a double CC being produced behind that for Aiden.
That Reaper's just going to lean back and be like, healing drugs, and sit there and recharge his health right back to full and come back later just to be annoying.
Yep, and definitely 420 Blaze It. I have no idea what that means, so don't ask me about that. As Jardozer is currently taking both of his gases, and he's got his Metabolic boost going. He's building Queens right now. He probably will look into taking his 3rd right now, as Hellion production is being started. So we're probably going to see the 3rd being harassed by the 4 Hellions and 2 Reapers that are being built right now.
Reaper Hellions actually really hard to hold off if you only have Zerglings. Those Hellions just completely roast those Zerglings, and those Reapers are just enough to tank out any damage. And with them being able to heal, it's just a matter of time before that whole forest just wears away your Zerglings. But Roaches stop it pretty well.
Yeah, and the decision to make Roaches will be really based on Jardozer if he decides to commit to it or if he decides to do an attack. He is going to establish his 3rd, but it's really, the decision on whether Aiden decides to put forward pressure, even building 8 Marines and just throwing them half across the map. We can already see the shortcuts that Aiden is doing. He's not building a forward bunker. He could be vulnerable to an attack while these Hellions are going to move half across the map. These are just some of the things you need to be able to scout forward and try to capitalize on.
Jardozer does have 3 extra queens out on the field, and he's just doing nothing right now, so he's going to be relying on these queens to try and defend. Now, queens are pretty good against Hellions and Reapers by themselves, but with as many as there are, this could hurt Jardozer, especially since there's no energy for transfuses right now.
Nope, a lot of the energy was committed to creep tumors, and there was just lots of creep tumors everywhere, as the first Hellions are going to be engaging the creeps. So, I mean, he's not necessarily going for the third, but now he's going to make an arc to go over there. I'm a little surprised he's not focusing more attention on the third, because that's what's going to get hit right now.
Well, it looks like Aiden decided to poke in just to confirm that the third was there, and there's no, like, huge 2-base roach attack coming at him. And here go the queens.
Yeah, and queens are able to successfully hold it off again. A Baneling Nest and 2 Evo Chambers being produced, while our Terran player is actually vying. Well, he has his 2 engineering bays down, but now he started his upgrades. He is building a starport, so it looks like he's going to go into a pretty standard game. Nothing unusual, like 3 factories being produced at this point.
Nope, not quite yet. Reactors coming down on the factory. We can expect Widow Mines to start coming out there soon, and Mass Marines are already starting to flow out of those barracks.
Yep, and we're going to basically see how well the control of both of these players are, as, you know, Widow Mines in the right position can do a lot of damage and enforce a lot of timing pushes after that, as lots of Banelings being produced. I almost feel like this is, like, really early. Like, these are a lot of drones that are not being forced at this point, unless he's trying to do a timing attack behind this.
This is a little early, and with these Hellions still in the field, those Banelings might get picked off if they're in the wrong spot. These queens can only do so much damage, and there's still a large amount of forces out on the field for Aiden.
Yep, and he has decided to take a forward third, so he knows where his opponent is expanded, so now he's going to take his third. He can now use this as a defense point, so he can fall back to that, and it also prevents, wow, Jardozer from taking a 4th over on the right side, but although he knows, he doesn't even see that coming. I don't even see that coming. So he decides to take the 4th on the left side.
Definitely is not the standard place to throw a 4th. Players usually get the 4th at this far right side, but Jardozer playing it a little sneaky. That 4th is going to put Jardozer in a little bit better spot. And, Aiden going a full stem just to kill some creep tumors.
Yep, and he's going to catch those queens off guard. And this is what I was talking about. This is a several marine attack. It's pretty normal, although there is no Widow Mines with this. And it's going to be occurred earlier, as a lot of lings getting thrown away. The Banelings are just not in position. This is even on creep, so like none of these units are going to be taking any damage at all, as Baneling speed just kicked in.
2-2 did just start for both players at almost exactly the same time. That was really creepy. But Spire is almost done for Jardozer here. So we're going to see some flying Jardozers.
That is correct, as they need to intercept these flying medevacs that are currently going into the main of Jardozer. Unfortunately, a queen is being produced that should support the damage against this, and the 4th will probably get taken out unless he splits his Banelings like he's doing right now. So both of these attacks are being held off. The drop of the main got held off, and that's a huge supply hit for him, and the other drop is actually going to go for the main yet again.
I'm not sure if this is good for Aiden. Aiden needs to get that medevac out of there, but these queens aren't going to be able to pick it off. Medevac's still a little bit quick, even with the booster on cooldown. And he's just going to go right back for the 4th. Ooh,
and the third is even under siege. A lot of the drones being picked off, as a few drones were even killed. A few more Marines taken out yet again. So a little bit of multi-hung crash at the 12-minute mark. He doesn't need to wait until the 25 or anything. He's just getting Marines dropped everywhere.
Aiden doing a good job dropping those Marines in a choke point. Those Zerglings can't get the surround, and the medevac heals faster than Zergling can do DPS, but when the Baneling goes off, then there's just nothing you can do about that. And it looked like Jardozer actually lost his 4th.
Yep, he did, and there's a Widow Mine on the 3rd, but unfortunately it actually attacked a Zerg Cocoon, and it has 200 armor, so it did not take that much
the Widow Mine missiles a spell, though. It armor doesn't affect it.
Yup, as attack going on in actually these mines just got exploded right now as the Marines are going all the way back trying to defend themselves, and there's a few more Banelings left. There's just so much damage being put out right now. Good moment for Jardozer to try to get an advantage right here. He just takes out a lot of the SCVs. I think I got 10 of them were killed, even more being killed so far as he's forced to float that out of the way. Really good attack by him.
Jardozer hitting it at a little bit of a good timing just before 2-2's finished, and his 2-2's going to be done right at the same time. But he did manage to kill a lot of forces with those Banelings, and while there are a couple Little Mines, and wow, those Marines are just so powerful.
He just killed that CC.
Yep. The third did get taken out, and that's going to set Aiden back a little bit. He's not going to have the money for as many Marines as he's going to want. But it's not even all about the Marines. It's those Widow Mines that's going to keep Jardozer from being able to stop any pressure once Aiden gets rolling.
And the Terran just scanned the fourth yet again just to verify if he's on an even footing as the Infestation Den being produced by our Zerg player. There's a lot of supply, but unfortunately both players are relatively even. Even on upgrades, they're pretty even right now. 3-3 has not even been started yet.
Yep. Hive needs to get done first, and that's probably the whole purpose of the Infestation Pit. We may see Infestors come out, but how fast Sim Marines move, it seems unlikely. Come on.
Yeah, the fourth being produced for our... these watchtowers have been being held by the Terran player the entire time. So, I mean, he's able to capitalize on that, but he's building the Banelings to try to be able to hold off his attack, and here comes the flank.
Ooh, no cancel from Jardozer, and he's gonna... Ooh, great split by Aiden. He's gonna lose absolutely nothing to those Banelings.
Yep, oh my gosh. As here comes the attack on the third. I remember both players were relatively even on supply and also even on economy, and Zerg needs to be ahead on economy to be successful, while Terran is just going to create this huge haphazard on the right side. Unfortunately for Terran, there's actually creep set up, so it's not really the best type of engagement he could afford right now.
Jardozer trying to be a little bit Jadon with his mutas, but Aiden's splittings just seems too good with these Widow Mines all set up here. And so here comes the attack. The Banelings are connecting with a good amount of Marines, but, well, there's still Widow Mines left. But this whole tech is essentially cleaned up.
Yep, and if he recognizes that there are Widow Mines there, he may be able to hold them off, or he may just blow up a bunch of drones. He's going to go straight for the third now. He does see it coming, so there's a little bit of a delay, and yet again, the third for Aiden is being taken out. Well, not necessarily taken out, but disabled for the time being.
This Queen's actually picking off all these Widow Mines that got left behind. A good call for Jardozer leaving that Overseer at the base. And these Marines are going to push back these mutas again.
And the supplies are actually favoring our Zerg player in this case, as the fourth has been established. Although they're not the best drone counts right now from both players. They could be on a little bit higher in terms of saturation, but they've been transferring a lot because their thirds have always been under fire.
Yes, and with Jardozer being able to hold that third, and Aiden not being able to set that third up for as long as he wants, Aiden's not going to have that Marine count pumping out. You can see he's floating a lot of gas and pretty much no minerals whatsoever.
Yeah, good aggression by our Zerg player, constantly going after the third. Now he's going for the natural, and all of his units are actually positioned at a natural, but unfortunately the Marines are able to be set up in time to get over there. Another shortcut, he's not building any missile turrets, so he's going to be able to take a lot more damage against these attacks.
We do have Drilling Claws upgrade coming out for the Widow Mines, and, well, the Widow Mines, it's gonna happen. I'm gonna call it right now. There's gonna be 5 or 6 Widow Mines sitting in one spot, and all these mutas are gonna be on one ball, and you're just gonna see a rain of wings and glaives just falling from the sky.
That is the possibility to occur. It's really gonna be based on control, on whether or not he decides to just not pay attention at the right time, and if the Terran player decides to move across the map. I think he's just trying to get his economy established again. And here comes a very unusual attack with several Banelings. He baited a lot of Widow Mines, but he killed some Marines and damaged a few. A little bit wonky on that end?
I think the whole point there was try to sneak in and take out as many workers as possible to try and deny this third a little bit more. You saw a couple Zerglings in front trying their best.
Oh man,
Ooh.
Baneling's just coming in from an arc trying to get those Marines out of the way. He realized there was a small group there, so he kills several of them. And there was no mines. I think he's trying to abuse the fact that there's just so many mines on that third, as another drop going on the top right portion of the map. A couple of Lings and Banelings canceling that out.
Ooh, but bad trade for Jardos, or one Baneling per one Marine just seems to be detonating, and there's only one Overseer left right now. And it's at Jardos's third. I wonder if he's going to pick up on that. But the third's going down again for Aiden.
Yep, that third is being attacked yet again by the Mutalisks in position. Both players are focusing on defending and counterattacking, as 3-3 for both players is getting halfway done. And there is just a huge, massive unit over here on the left by our Zerg player. I'm not sure if he's just trying to set up a preemptive flank.
I'm a little curious what he's trying to do with them as well. I mean, all this microwing is actually taking away from his injects. I mean, I know he's close to maxed out and he doesn't really have the money for it, but having those larvae later, the mutas almost got taken out entirely by these Marines.
Yep, a lot of those Marines are getting taken out. He can't really engage if all of his mutas took damage from that initial hit. There's almost no point in trying to do any sort of damage again, because they're all just going to get taken out instantly by a few Marines. But both bases are being taken now, even a 6 by our Zerg player.
Yeah, Jardos are looking to establish his presence on the entire, on as much of the map as possible. And he's actually going to get a snipe on this fourth from Aiden.
Yep, once again, that's the second CC that's been taken out, but unfortunately, Jardozer is probably going to lose this hatch unless all of his units are totally out of position. A few Lings going in first, and all but 2 actually Widow Mines, and there's still one more left. A lot of them clearing out, but there's just so many weird things going on right now. The Mutalisks are still in the natural, but this fourth by our Zerg player is going to be taken out.
Man, Jardozer's just forcing a base race right now, and Aiden has just the better army. If Aiden can just hold on and come back and kill these Mutalisks, he's gonna hang on to win. But these Mutalisks are just destroying everything.
Yeah, the production is being camped. This is a common strategy whenever you feel that you have an advantage, or if you just have enough Mutalisks just to stay on top of the production and just constantly kill stuff. This was a really good move by our Zerg player to constantly kill Marines that almost shut down his production compared to just killing barracks, as he's now going for the third.
And with those Marines over the production facilities, there's just no reinforcements, and Aiden's losing the third base again.
Yep, and in that process, all those drones by our Zerg player was transferred over to the fourth on the right side. Unfortunately, he had that established, so he's still almost on 4-base economy, even 3-base, considering his main is mined out.
Aiden's going to have to do something here. He's put in a really bad position, and every unit he loses is just not going to help him, and his splitting is doing pretty well for itself.
And yeah, it killed a huge mass, as he has 44 supply left, and I think that's pretty much game at that point. He just doesn't have the money to constantly fuel these attacks, as the last few Marines are being taken out, even cutting his supply down to 20.
Oh man, Aiden, with those last 2 Banelings that those 2 Widow Mines had detonated on, it killed pretty much about 4 or 5 Widow Mines with the Banelings hits, and another handful of Marines. And it was agony. Aiden's Widow Mines were just killing himself, essentially.
I almost felt like he would have just constantly kept going on the left portion of the map whenever he was over there disabling the fourth, but the mutas were just like, you know what, I'm just going to go for this, and he was right. He could have just constantly kept going. He didn't need that fourth base, because he could have just moved all of his units on the right side and still have the same economy as he had before that attack even occurred.
It was really good decision-making from Jardozer, forcing a base race mentality for Aiden, and especially holding off that third base, like being able to kill it whenever he could. With him killing that third base, it cut the amount of minerals Aiden had at his expense to make more Marines, and it completely starved out his army. And Jardozer was just able to trade a little bit better with those Baneling hits, even though Aiden's micro was ridiculous.
Yeah, he had all the tools at his disposal, but unfortunately, lots of CCs were killed, and not enough hatcheries or drones were killed. So that netted X Saga yet another win. The score for them is currently 3-1, as we're going to go into our last match of the series.
Before our last match, we have a little present from our friends at Carbot Animation. We want to thank them for letting us use a couple of their videos. We're going to go ahead and watch a Carbot video and take a small break.
Coming through. Hell yeah.
Ready.
Paint the target.
Nuclear launch detected.
All right, welcome back. We're currently going to go set up the fifth game. This is the last game of our series, and for those of you that just joined us, this is currently week 6 of several teams currently playing. We're on our 4th match as players are competing for points, and right now the score, as it says below, is 3-1. X Saga is currently in the lead. So, you can tell us more about what's been going on in the series so far.
Excuse me, my mic was muted for a second. So far, it looks like SagaCity has taken the win over this whole series right now, and is going to get the extra point for the league. But Team2Pro can still win this final game that we have for you guys tonight and get that extra point just to fight it for the standings a little bit. And every point matters. So, I mean, that's why you got to play all your games. You can't just have like people not showing up either.
Yeah, even though you may not have the opportunity to get anything out of it, you can still get the learning experience and understand what you could be doing differently. We all absorb all of these replays, and so it's really beneficial to just look them over and say, was I nervous? Was the stream making it harder, or was this a very unusual game that I was playing? So these are a few of the things that could attribute to working on practicing those in the next games to come.
Yep, looks like we're setting up right now. We're just waiting on Team2Pro's player. So we've seen a couple PVTs and a PvP and a TVZ. What do you think we'll see next?
Uh, Considering one of them's
roster-
Protoss, I want to say that the next one should be a PvP.
Oh, if another PvP, just right when we start to get away from Protoss play, go right back into it, eh?
Yep. Because I want to see more Void Ray play, because everybody likes avoiding Void Rays and saying, I didn't scout it, or I didn't see it coming. Good thing I wasn't paying attention to the Void Rays that were just, building their prismatic beams against Zealots.
And so it's all they can do is just stare up and shake their side blade at them. But is Chef Boyardee coming out for Saga City?
I don't know. I'm not entirely sure. But I guess the other player is also a GM player.
Looks like Moros might be the player from Team2Pro. We're still getting that in order. But, The map for this last match is Neoplanet S. A map I'm not really too horribly fond of, but it does have its strong points. Like, the third's pretty easily defendable if you take the closer one to the main. And it gives you a little bit of a spread, preventing drops from your main. If you take the third to the north or south, depending on your starting location, a little bit harder to defend, but not as noticeable. So, if you see aggression coming one way, it's always nice.
Yeah, there's really good ways to set up the concaves for the defender in this case. So it's really hard to attack into. Even going out half across the map, it's really hard to set up a really big concave because of the way of how tight Neoplanet S is set up. So it's a very odd selection of map, but at the same time, as we're gonna probably the last few times we're gonna see this map, and then we're gonna transition into the new map series that'll be within the next month or so.
Yes, the season ladder and WCS actually ends in mid-November, I think, right? About 10th or 11th?
Yes, it does. So they're both chained with each other in terms of ending the ladder season, ending WCS, and then eventually they're going to BlizzCon, where all the players that are competing are going to compete against each other.
But it looks like we're starting right now, and well, we'll see you guys after the intro.
Right, so we're going to be doing a ZVP on Neoplanet S. The LE of Neoplanet the LE stands for Ladder Edition. So there are amazing rocks on the bottom portion of the ramp, so nobody can do any 3-pylon blocks, and everybody enjoys doing that every single game. You can probably have lots of ladder points doing that.
Oh, I like Asylum's little portrait here. It's like a snake in a marine helmet.
Looks like a frog.
Frog? I can't tell anymore.
So on the bottom left portion of the map, we have our Protoss player from X Saga. His name is Chef Boyardee. And on the top right portion of the map, we have our red Zerg player from Team2Pro. His name is Aslium.
Oh, I'm torn, Blaze. I mean, we have a Protoss player, but I don't really like Chef Boyardee, so
why
I'm not a fan of ravioli. I mean, what can I say?
You are so bad. Ravioli is so good for you. It gives you lots of protein, lots of calories, and also lots of sodium. Everybody should try to get as much sodium as you can every single day.
Your heart will definitely thank you after it.
That is true. Neoplanet S actually has gold bases on the center on unlike all the other maps that we've had so far. Even some players in ZVP are opted to take this forward third solely because of the fact that some players do not pressure or do not scout it. Common examples of players that I've seen doing this is EG Revival, and I've even seen Jadong do this once, where they just purposely take the gold in the center and they just start putting drones on it. Other than that, we have a couple bases on the side that get taken later in the game.
Yes, the center's definitely set up a little awkwardly. It seems like whoever gets one side gets both sides with no center divider there. And it's just. I don't think the center is going to come into play at all. We might see a little bit of gold play coming from Asylum, but I don't believe it.
It's really based on if they want to take the risk, as our Protoss player is going Nexus first. It's just honestly if they want to see where they can get out of it, see if they can hold it for how long. It's kind of like basically just hiding a tech somewhere and hoping that they don't scout it. Forge in the main for Protoss, it looks like he may just decide to get +1 early and focus on putting gateways in the front.
This is something I do against a few Zerg players. I'll throw the Forge in the main just so I can have a cannon in the mineral line. It doesn't really do a lot to protect your natural, but with a Nexus first, there should be a pylon done in the wall being completed as soon as possible. And there wasn't really any scouting by either player besides the Overlords from Asylum.
Yep, both players trying to be as greedy as possible early on because they don't expect anything, although there is a drone going out for some odd reason. Yeah, I'm the color of cards. My name is Blazemos, and I am here every single day, I promise.
Oh, Asylum's going for the gold base. We might see a huge bust here once this gold base starts kicking in.
Yep, and the intent of it is really just the availability. As you notice, there's just an open area around it. So there's a couple of flanks you need to protect. Commonly, players put spines next to that base because they know they're probably going to do gateway pressure against it if our Chef Boyardee actually scouts it.
Well, there's a scouting probe out, but it looks like he's just trying to set up a proxy pylon for later. He's not going to be. No one's going to be able to see this center base until you get a little probe walking through the metal or a little bit of vision on the high ground over the minerals when the creep spawns.
Yeah, it's basically going to be that when it occurs, and Slam's going to try to hide this as best as possible to deny map vision, as the Protoss player is pretty much establishing his tech, really determining on whether or not he takes his natural gases will be based on whether or not he gets a build that's more tech-oriented or if he just takes an early third. If he lets this gold get out of control, there's just going to be a lot of hatchery production for our Zerg player if it goes on unscouted too long.
Well, guess what, Blazemos? Your favorite building from the Protoss structures is coming out on the field. The Stargate's coming. So, Mass Void Ray.
A good choice on this map, considering it's really small. I feel like an early third may contribute to it. It's really going to be based on whether or not Protoss decides to commit to it or continue. Slam does scout it, as he's in the clear. He can drone up for the next 2 minutes without being attacked. He may need to set up a few spores, and in the process of those spores, he'll probably get scouted with either the Phoenix or the Void Rays.
Oh, and the sentry's tickle cannoning this Overlord to death. He should beware that Overlord could poop on him at any second, and we know how much sentries don't like poop.
Yeah, and it does not increase the movement speed of the sentry. In fact, it does absolutely nothing to it. But a robo is being produced for our, oh man, unless this is the wrong build that I'm thinking of. He may just decide to do a 2-base all-in, or he may decide to just, start building observers from it. So we're going to decide whether or not he does either one, as the Phoenix is already attacking the Overlords.
Well, it looks like we're just going to have Phoenix out just to be really, really annoying. There are a couple spores out, and it looks like Chef Boyardee's finally noticing this gold base, if he bothers flying over it. He did see the creep at least.
Yeah, he does understand that, and now he's turning back around, noticing this unusuality that's going on within this game, and he's just going to focus on Overlords, and he's probably going to try to make a beeline for it as a second spore gets placed. He does have the extra income, so the 2 spores that are being produced right now is pretty much not going to cause too much of a problem for him.
As Asylum's seems like he's going for a bit of a Roach Hydra composition, and a Robo Bay switch up from our little Chef Boyardee over here. But with all of these spore crawlers out here, these Phoenix are going to get shut down pretty easily.
And a robotics bay, as Slicer pointed out, being produced, this looks like it's going to be a pretty concentrated attack, as 3 more gateways being produced. Chef Boyardee realizes that the advantage that Islam can produce from this gold is going to be extremely huge if he lets this go out of control within the next 2 to 3 minutes. So he needs to do an attack on that base right now. In terms of Phoenix count, they've killed 5 drones so far, and extended thermal lance is currently being researched.
Yes, and a few overlords were picked off as well. Not really too much for aside having that gold base. He can always rebuild the overlords as long as his injects are on. And looking at his queen's energy, he's been really up on that.
Yep, he's got pretty good injects going on as, oh man, 1-1 being produced for our Zerg players. So he's going to have a lot of Zerglings for this attack, but I don't know if the Zerglings are going to be able to do anything against the Colossus that are being produced. I'm not sure if he even scouts this. So like, does he see this? No, he does not.
I think a better option for Chef Boyardee would have been just to Sentry and Mortal attack with those Phoenix supporting, but when these 18 roaches pop and the speed gets done, it's just, there's not much Chef Boyardee is going to be able to do as a counterattack on this third base is happening.
Yeah, and that third's probably going to be shut down. There is a few power units for our Protoss player, but this is going to incite an attack by him. I'm completely sure that he's going to do that. He can't just let this go uncancelled, as a 50 supply lead for our Zerg player is currently going on.
The army supplies are already in favor of Asylum, and the first Colossus is out. A second Colossus is about ready to pop, and a Warp Prism coming out as well. It looks like Chef Boyardee is just going to go for a full-out attack and wall off his door and do what he can to try and run Asylum over with the Colossus.
Yep, he needs to be able to do damage and pretty much win the game at this point. Otherwise, disable the third as a fourth is being taken by Asylum, but I don't see any Corruptors in this build. So he needs to be able to pick off those Colossus. Otherwise, his attack is going to do a tremendous amount of damage. So here comes the flank. As I was saying earlier in this cast, he's got to be able to get all the way around this entire structure.
If those Zerglings...
oh my gosh!
Oh, the Zealot's out! He was not running past!
Oh man!
Oh, but looks like Asylum, not focusing on the run-by, actually managed to pick off one Colossus, but Chef Boyardee's army is just powering through the roaches. The force fields are really, really good.
Yep, and a lot of the probes are being taken out right now, but there's still one Colossus and a huge composition, and he has to sack that third. There's no way he's going to be able to kill this. He's going to focus on the Colossus and take that out. So if he's able to hold off the rest of his attack, that's huge, because his opponent's only on one base right now. I still think he should just sacrifice that gold base at this point. He doesn't have enough time to rebuild a composition against this.
No, looks like Asylum is feeling you there. He's trying to pull back what he has, but he's still pressing the engagement, trying to pick off sentries whenever he can. And just, it seems like Chef Boyardee is just going to leave that gold base running, and then not the best decision from him.
But unfortunately, the Protoss player is actually going for the Gnat. He's got 17 roaches in production, and he can easily remax, but this macro hatch is in the way. A couple of force fields could easily block off the remaining supply, as here come all the roaches. Is there any force fields? It's focusing on one of the immortals, and I don't know, it might be close.
These immortals are just doing way too much damage. The roaches are just melting to this one attack army, and while the roaches have 1-1 and +2 armor is almost finished, there's just too much from Chef Boyardee, and Asylum's just gonna roll over and die here if he doesn't get anything happening for him soon.
Yeah, and at the same time, the Protoss player is still on one base economy, so he's trying his best to hold off. He's trying his best to kill as many units as possible because he realizes he's trying to be cost efficient. This is a 3-base Zerg versus a 1-base Protoss, but his composition is just not there. That War Prism is going to get taken out. There'll be no more reinforcements if that actually occurs. That's the end of the reinforcements. The pylons are so far away, as there's still units being streamed in. There's still roaches being produced, some of them being rallied incorrectly.
Yeah, Asylum's doing everything he can to be as cost-effective as possible, even fighting with drones right now. And I'm not sure if he's going to be able to clean up this army. These immortals are still alive, and they got a lot of kills on them.
Yep, and there's still a few more roaches pouring in. Oh my gosh, this is so close. The gold base is even under attack now, but there's only like 4 units left, and there's still 10 roaches being produced. If they can all focus on that one immortal, that would be huge enough to hold this attack. A very oddly placed force field as a queen fighting the gold, and at the same time, this attack actually gets held off.
Asylum did end up losing all of his workers at his main and at his gold. But Chef Boyardee's only been on one base. He lost all those workers to that run by that happened earlier, and he's trying to resaturate now. But he still has 3 zealots poking away at the gold base.
And that attack's actually going to get cleaned up also, as that queen is forced to depart to try to macro as many hatcheries inside of his main as possible. Now remember, the natural for Chef Boyardee was harassed by 6 lings and actually killed several probes, so that was the accomplishment for him, as now he's frantically trying to defend his base against the oncoming pressure. He's got that gold, and he's still able to make lings, so he force fields off to try to hold off as much as he can to get out 1 Colossus.
There are plenty of force fields for Chef Boyardee, but there's just too many units from Asylum. He's going to work down everything, and the sentries are going to go down. The Mothership Core just gets remade now, and Chef Boyardee taps out. Team2Pro takes the last game.
Well then, really good defense by Asylum. It just looked like he just did not have enough. I almost feel like he could have just lost his 3rd, but instead he was just trying to go for the win. Unfortunately, he had a few lings. He was able to do a counterattack, and then at the same time, he was just constantly building roaches to try to hold off the defense, to stay in the game. He realized he had an income boost, and he was able to use it to the best of his ability.
Yeah, but it was really, really close. That game was just back and forth, back and forth. It looked like Chef Boyardee had the momentum going for him, but when he lost that Warp Prism, it stopped all the reinforcements, and while he may have only had a 1-base economy going, just the loss of those reinforcements has just completely ended that attack, and well, without the force field on the ramp to stop any more roaches from streaming down from the natural, the army just got cleaned up, and Asylum just counterattacked and essentially just won.
Yep. And that closes out the series for today. Unfortunately, X-Saga still won 3-2, as he's got 3 games for them, and they get their points for also winning. Unfortunately, Team2Pro will be able to eventually get the chance to try again, maybe in another few weeks. But other than that, this closes out the series for today. Make sure you check out our social media links for the next week that we have going on for Top Dog NA. And Slicer, do you have any other last words that you'd like to put in?
Thanks for watching our stream. We're going to go into 1 or 2 more Carbot videos before we end the stream tonight. But for Blazemos and I, that's it for today.
All right, so thank you guys for watching the stream. We will now go into the videos. Take care.